Hello and welcome to the Quantum Healing Channel by Serenity Healing Circle. I'm Aethel.
And I'm Keith.
On this channel, we're going to go beyond the surface, into the heart of transformation. Through channeled healing, Akashic record wisdom, and energetic alignment. This is the space for those ready to commit to real change and live from their soul's truth. We're here to help you unlock deep transformational healing. This podcast isn't for those who are just curious. It's for those ready to invest in their own growth, to heal and release and shift into their highest potential. If this sounds like you, we invite you to journey with us. Welcome. Hello and welcome back to Quantum Healing Channel by Serenity Healing Circle. I'm Aethel.
And I'm Keith.
On this episode, we're going to talk about racism. I'm going to be sharing my experiences and what it feels like to be a Black girl and to experience racism and how it has impacted me and my confidence. And, the issue of racism, no matter the race that you are, you know what it feels like to experience being rejected and being projected on. It's not a good feeling. I'm going to be talking about the lessons I've learned from the experiences I've been through and how they've helped me become stronger. When I lived in Zambia, I went to private schools. I went to school with Americans, Russians, Chinese, and Vietnamese. A large population of the people that I went to school with were Black. And I really didn't experience racism until I got to the US in 2018. I believe it was November. Yeah. So when I got here, I heard about racism, but I still didn't experience it. I wasn't looking for it. When other Black people talked about racism and what they experienced, I was like, oh, okay, that's an experience that they had. And I feel sympathy for them. And I continued on with my life. And to me, when I heard the details of their racism that they experienced, it didn't make sense to me because I believed, and I still believe to this day, that we are all human. At the end of the day, we bleed the same color. You strip away our bodies. Spirit is what we're made of. And so to me, it didn't make logical sense at all. We are one. But that's a different spiritual conversation for another day. I'm going to focus on the topic of racism and the experiences I went through. My very first experience of being rejected and being made to feel wrong just because I exist, I put it that way because there was no logical reason to project hate on me because of the color of my skin. It didn't make sense to me. And so this is why I put it that way. In 2011, I got a job as an assistant dining manager in Omaha, Nebraska. At this job, there was only I want to say 5 people that were Black. The rest was white. There was the kitchen staff and then there was the dining staff. But we all worked together. This was at a retirement community. So we all worked together to create a cohesive environment and beautiful environment around mealtime. And when we had parties, birthday parties and then also holiday parties. There was a girl, we're going to call her Naomi. Naomi did not like me. From the moment that she met me, she just did not accept me. And I didn't understand it. I would go out of my way to be nice to her, but she still gave me mean looks, laughed in my face, and said racist things when she thought I wasn't looking or hearing. So one time, she was a kitchen staff. So one time I was coming out of the kitchen, she was there with another girl, we shall call her Jessica. They were talking and they were both white. And Naomi said to Jessica, I don't even understand why she's here. She shouldn't be here. If it ain't white, it ain't right. Literally as I was walking out of the kitchen, and it felt intentional and on purpose, which is the same thing, I know. That was the first time I experienced racism, and it really touched me in the way that I didn't anticipate. And I thought, what is it about me that she despises so much? What is it about me that she doesn't like? And it's not like I've done anything to her. She basically just didn't like me because of my skin color. It still doesn't make sense to me today. So the racism continued. There were some other things that I experienced while I was working there. We even had to go into the office. I had to write down the report of everything that was happening and took it to the manager. After the meeting that we had, it was me, Jessica, and the manager. When we came out of the meeting, I went to get food for a table, and then I heard Jessica talk to Naomi and tell her, where I come from, it doesn't matter whether you like someone or not. It's just here, I guess. You're fine. You're okay. And they both kept talking, went on and on. And so I got out of the kitchen, just did my job. That situation, moving forward, I was always in fight or flight mode going to work. And it really created an internal environment that the world wasn't safe. This is the belief that I adopted, and that people are not safe to be around. And I felt alone and rejected for a reason that I didn't and still don't understand. So around that time, I was working on myself, healing certain internal programs that I was programmed with when I was younger. Especially my relationship with money was not good. I was programmed to believe that money is hard to come by and you have to work really, really hard to receive money, basically. So when I was experiencing racism at that job, it was hard for me because I was reprogramming my subconscious mind and doing meditation and Reiki and, just throwing myself into spirituality for self-awareness and self-discovery. So it's like the work that I was doing on myself was neutralized by this situation at work. I'd go home at 5 and work on myself. And then also when I wake up in the morning before I go to work. But then when I get to work, I'm having a whole different experience of myself. And it didn't feel good at all. It was a challenge. And it taught me that just because a person can't or is choosing not to accept me for who I am does not mean that I need to hold them in a certain way within my energy. It doesn't mean that I need to hold them in contempt and do the same things to them. I had no sting about her within me, but at the same time, there was sort of dissonant thing that was going on in my head because I couldn't really conceptualize the idea of having a disdain for someone just because their skin color is different. It became so bad that I wanted to leave that place and transfer to a different location. And the manager got in contact with the manager of the new place that I wanted to relocate to and told them about me wanting to relocate there. And everyone said, okay, well, you have an interview. Okay, so the manager told me that I had an interview with the other manager from the other location Monday morning. This was Friday. And so Monday morning, I went there and she had her phone face down as we were talking. And so I was just expressing myself. And what I didn't know is that you can't really be truthful when it comes to that matter. And so basically, at the end of the interview, I went back to my job and I was the laughing stock. Naomi, Jessica, and some other male coworkers were in the kitchen just laughing and repeating what I said in the meeting. So this gave me the impression that that other manager recorded me and sent the recording to my current manager, who then told Naomi and Jessica, and everyone was laughing at me. I can't really describe to you what it feels like to first experience being hated for no reason. No matter how hard you try to be nice to people, they still just cannot accept you. And then to try to get away from that environment, you get shunned and you get laughed at because they want you to stay there and continue to feel like who you are is wrong. When I returned to work, when I was feeling better, certain comments were made. And it's like, and everything was done in my presence and on purpose. They made sure that I heard what they said. So it got so bad that I couldn't work there anymore. And so on my break one time, I went to a park and there was a bunch of trees and there was, a few benches there. And I was the only one there. I was sitting down eating my lunch and all of a sudden the leaves started blowing kind of like in unison. And I felt the breeze. It was calming and relaxing. And then I heard a whisper from the trees that said, "You are not alone." And then immediately I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. I heard it again. "You're not alone." It was a female voice that was very relaxing, very serene and centering at the same time. It's like every time I heard the whisper, it centered me and brought me back home to myself, to the knowingness that I wasn't alone. And it felt good for 30 minutes. Then I went back to work. I was in the dining room by myself. I don't remember what I was doing. Next to the office where Jessica was, the office that we shared. And just a side note, she did not like when I did my hair. She would go literally cry to the manager and said, "Why is she doing her hair like that? Why does her curls look so defined? Why does she look like that?" Everyone else complimented my hair and said it looked good. If you know me, I'm all about beauty, style, and I like luxury. And so I was always put together. She did not like that. Because they were throwing energetic attacks and negative thought forms and negative emotions about me, how I should be, how I should carry myself. Because I wasn't buying into that, it pissed her off. And so she went to cry every single time I did my hair. I just wanted to put that in there. Back to the dining room. I don't remember what I was doing there, but I knew Jessica was in the office, like right across from the dining room, but she couldn't see me. I was quiet in the dining room, and then I heard the voice again, now louder than before. "You're not alone." I paused. I stopped thinking about what I was thinking about, and I looked in the room. It felt different. I want to say this was around 2:30. Like it was unusually silent, but then peaceful at the same time. And remembering now, I sensed energies in the room. Like the entire room was covered with light frequencies, light energies. And I heard it again. "You're not alone." And then it kept repeating at a faster rate. "You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone." Every time my mind tried to oppose or like say, "You're making stuff," like right in the middle of my mind doing its thing, "You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone." Eventually my heart opened and I relaxed into the knowing that I wasn't alone and I embraced the energy that was in the room. It was at that time that I knew that things were going to change very soon. A week later, they hired a girl, she was Filipino, and the moment I saw her, she had an energy about her. It was like she was a light being incarnated for a temporary reason. And the way that it happened is that she was there for 1 week and she quit. And I looked for her name, I couldn't find it. I looked for her number, I couldn't find it. It was like her whole file vanished. So when she was hired, it felt like her presence was reassuring me that I wasn't alone. Even though she was, I would say, 5'7", 5'8", she looked taller than the physical eye can see. She looked taller, like tall enough to go through the ceiling. Like, I'm not exaggerating. To my spiritual eyes, my clairvoyant, I saw her as pure light and she was really tall. And I just wanted to be in her presence. She didn't speak English. All she could do is nod to me. And every time she nodded and every time I looked at her, it's like spirit was telling me, "I'm here." Every time she nodded and smiled at me and her eyes lit up, it's like spirit was telling me that spirit is incarnated at that time to let me know that spirit was there. It was really beautiful. It was something I've never experienced before. And when she left, I tried my hardest. I tried to remember her name. I couldn't remember it. I went on Facebook after that, tried to find her. I couldn't. And that's when I knew that it was a temporary encounter to let me know that I wasn't alone and it was time for me to move, to get out of that place. Because as I was working on myself, I was elevating in consciousness. And so this situation at work was trying to squash me down while I was working on myself to ascend higher at the same time. So even though I went through what I went through, I forgave them, every single one of the people that hated me for no reason. Before I left that place, I blessed every single person that did not like me for the simple fact that my skin is black. I still didn't know how to express myself after I healed the restrictions that I adopted when I was younger. Even after I healed the energetic situation of that experience. What do I mean when I say energetic situation? So when we go through certain experiences, sometimes our bodies, our energetic bodies will hold on to the frequencies of a situation and it will replay it to remind you not to make the same choices or to continue with the energetic program to make you believe that that's who you are. You are supposed to be small in your energy, in the experience of yourself, in the expression of yourself. But then you, as a conscious being, you get to decide who you are. Like, is that the truth of who you are? And no, because your body, at the same time, at a spiritual level, is going to let you know that that isn't who you are. It's a program. That's why it's trying so hard every day to remind you, hey, don't abandon me. You accepted this program. And so, because it wants to live, it wants to be your truth so bad that it's going to remind you every single day to pay attention to it. So, this is why spiritual healing is so important. And getting to know just what your truth is beneficial. And once you have the awareness of who you are, you can't go back because you now know too much. So when you make a choice that goes against who you are and your divine soul blueprint, the knowledge and the awareness of who you are is going to remind you that you know who you are. And so when you choose differently, you will experience the consequence of that. It's like just like the programs play themselves in your body unconsciously to remind you to keep choosing it every single day. The knowledge of who you are via your Akashic record is also going to remind you. But it does that in a very subtle way. Just when you're about to make the wrong choice, you remember something about your energetics. It's almost like your soul is saying, hey, so don't forget about this part. Don't forget about this truth here. It's like while you're considering making that choice, don't forget about this truth here. And it's not like your soul is like choosing for you. It can't do that. What it can do is give you guidance through nudges and your intuition to let you know, hey, there's also this part. You, as a conscious being, right, incarnated in a physical body, you have an ego. So you use your ego, use your human part to make the choice. Back to that experience, it is my absolute opinion that situation showed me that there might be a deeper agenda behind the whole racism thing. When you think about it, there's only one race on the human plane. It is the human race. So I think there's a deeper agenda to this to keep us separated and to make some of us think we are better than others when we are all the same. We are brothers and sisters here for a very important, unique reason to create heaven on earth and to live from the heart, to express our individuality, our very unique selves, because each and every one of us has gifts that we come in with that truly make a difference on this planet. Every single presence, every single person that's on this planet is needed. That's why we are all here, to create a different world. So how I navigate racism now is very different from how I did back then. Now I know that no one can make me feel bad about myself because I know who I am. And I've stepped into my divinity enough to know when I'm being suggested, I'm being projected on to be different than I am, to make room, to make space in my body for something that is not who I am. And I see that very clearly, very quickly, and I transmute the energies and send love because love is the answer. Nothing can be accomplished with hate. It's more hate and more hate and more dislike. And that type of energy is discordant. It really doesn't accomplish anything at all, really. So when you come with a different perspective, a higher perspective, you see it as it's just a program and this human is going through something. It really has nothing to do with me, but I'm going to go ahead and send them love and wish them well. And so it's like I'm not playing in the playground of negativity. I choose to play at a higher level. Now, even now, recently I've been made aware to how my body reacted when I was in public. I was made aware that I had a tendency to shrink my energy. And with the conversation of the all, I know, Keith, you talked with them and they shared an interesting hidden pattern that I was engaged in and that I wasn't aware of. I want to say this is as recent as 3 weeks ago. Do you want to touch a little bit about what they said?
Sure, we were walking along the river walk, having a good conversation, and we were walking in the opposite direction of a couple men. And soon after they passed, they all told me that they were surprised because they were expecting some automatic reaction.
Yeah, the men, right?
Yes.
They were confused. Okay.
Right. Along the lines of subservience or automatically shrinking yourself, making yourself lesser than, seeing the acknowledgement of that in your face. And they did not expect that, they did not get that reaction.
Yeah, that is so interesting. And later, when I had access to this conversation, I learned a lot about my unconscious pattern that I was engaged in. It was almost as if, and what did they say? They said something like, for Black people in particular, it's like society has programmed us to, correct me if I'm wrong, they said something about what is required from us when they're in our presence. So, what is required, like the energetics and how we are being in general when other quote unquote races around, like, white people and or other races other than Black, when they are in our presence, they require certain energies from us. And these energies are not good. The energy of shame, the energy of less than, and even shrinking your energy to accommodate their energy so that it can come into your field and let them project negativity onto you while you have your energy shrinked and you look down. So this was interpreted like this. If I am to put it simply, picture two men, let's say they're walking towards the Black girl, and they look at her in cross proximity of both the Black girl and the two guys. When they look at her, their energy is opened to interact with the Black girl's energy. Now, I'm not talking about everybody, those who are racist. We are focusing on the ones that are racist. Okay, so let's say these two guys are racist and they interact with her energy. There's a certain look that they give off to the Black girl. And as their energy is open to envelop this girl's energy, they're expecting for her to see them looking at her, and they're expecting for her to look down as she passes by them. And while they are in her energy, they are sending certain programs, certain thoughts towards her to make her feel less about herself. And then when she looks down, it's like she's saying, "You're right. I know my place in society. I will humble myself as I pass by you. And whatever energy you throw my way is okay for now, just as long as I pass by you and everything is fine. I'll go about my day." I'm not sure if this makes sense, but this is exactly what I got. Even the visuals of what happens. It's like there's a program that has been put in place for us to act in when other people are around, especially racist people. I'm not even putting any race in particular, I'm just saying racist people. So this was very interesting to see. And when I saw that, it actually made sense because I wasn't consciously aware until they brought it to my attention. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I do that. Today I went to Whole Foods and I had an experience with a white lady, an energetic experience. So I was standing in the checkout line. She was in front of me checking out. She kept looking back, looking at me from head to feet, looking up and down at me and looks away. And then she looked back again. She did that a few times. And all of a sudden, my spirit guides were like, don't look at her, focus. And they opened the energy of the where I was between me and her. And they're like, notice the energy. And as I looked at the energy, it was like her energy was in my energy. And the literal thoughts that I heard was, oh, you think you're all that? You're nothing. I'm better than you. And that's why she kept looking back to see if I see her doing that. Because when racist people are being racist, they want to look at you with a certain look to make sure that you are seeing them look at you with disgust or whatever, so that they can feel satisfied that you saw as they were putting you down, putting your presence down, as if your presence does not matter. I'm sure this makes sense to somebody. I know if you've experienced this, you know what I'm talking about. So, back to that situation, as I was looking at what thoughts she was sending my way and how her energy was enveloping mine, I immediately noticed how I was shrinking my energy. And my spirit guides were like, that, look at that. And they pointed to how I shrink my energy around certain people because it's an automatic program, an automatic pattern that I wasn't consciously aware of. And then after they showed me what I was doing, basically, I was shrinking my energy in retreat, saying, yeah, you're right. You're better than me. It's okay. You can take up my energy. You can take up space. It's okay. And I'll shrink myself so that you can feel better about programming me, or you can feel good about yourself. It's all right. I'm smaller than you. That's exactly what I got. And they said, now open your heart. And I opened my heart, and they said, now stretch your energy to its normal radius. And I did. And they said, now send her love. And I did. And I blessed her. And after that, her energy left my field and she moved forward physically. Like she moved away from me a little and like many feet away after and then she paid for her groceries and left. So I thought that was interesting. And they said that when we look at them as they are being racist, even in their energy, if you are spiritually aware, you can tell. The reason why they want you to see them when they're being racist, they want to make it seem like, or they want to make it seem like they've broken your spirit. Like in their consciousness, they wanted to make it seem like that. They put you in your place in society when they met you. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you are or what you are doing, just as long as you know you are second class. That's what they want from your look. They want you to see them do that so that they can feel good about putting you down. So when you look away or you just focus on what you're doing and you're going about your day, regardless of who's doing what, It's like it's not even happening because there's no receptivity from you. And that's really important. Now, it's not to say that you can't be nice to people because not everyone's racist. There's just some people that are racist. And we all know that's a different consciousness level. And I personally think there's a dark agenda behind that. But that's a different story for another time. I'm not sure what to say next. Do you have any thoughts?
If I remember correctly, during my walk with the all that night, there was some insight into how Black women were interacting with them while in your body as well. Like some anticipation that there was something missing there as well. I'm not so clear about it. Do you remember anything from that?
Yeah, there were some that liked me and some that didn't. My presence.
No particular insight there, though.
When we were walking, some of them noticed my light, so to speak, and some of them rejected the light. It's interesting, even this last time when we went to the river walk, there was some two ladies by the bridge, and we were walking, and these two girls started projecting this negative energy towards me. And they were Black girls like me. They were just projecting this negative energy towards me. It's almost as if, who am I to look the way that I do? And one of them did not like my weight. I weigh about 130. The one that didn't like my weight was a little bit bigger. So that, to me, speaks to her own thing that she's going through, but it's easier to project that on someone else because of whatever reason. Even in some Black women, we've been programmed to put other women down because, I don't know, maybe we want the same thing, but we don't have it. And how dare someone else have it? Who do they think they are? Some women are just hating because you look a certain way or you carry yourself a certain way or you are honest and they're not. This is from a real experience that I had a few years ago. And so I think that speaks to what we're going through as individuals.
My roommate from college called that the crab bucket. So, one of my good friends in college, he was a Black guy from Baltimore. We became roommates. Our relationship soured after a while for different reasons, but that was what he called it in the Black community, was the crab bucket. So whenever Black people saw other Black people even trying to achieve, they would pull each other down. So this is a metaphor from fishing. You can safely put a bunch of crabs in a bucket because they will always just pull each other down. You can rely on it.
I did not know about that, but you know what? It makes sense. It really does, because I've experienced that too. So the people that hate, if you think about it, it's almost like they have to cling to the hate energy, the racism, whenever it was created, and the programs, and however many years it has been in society. And there are certain people who literally practice racism and they have meetings just for racism. I'm just going to put it like that and we'll move on. It's like they have to cling to that program because that's all they know. Dissonance energy cannot be sustainable. It can't. It is not one of the laws that govern our world. Hate cannot sustain itself, but love can. Love is much better than hate. I don't need to tell you that. You can experience the difference. Love is lighter, hate is heavy. And insistence on you experiencing more of itself, it will be louder in your body so you can continue to choose it. Back to the programming. These limiting programs, they are so loud in our heads that sometimes it feels like that's what we're supposed to be doing when it's not. And so, this is the beauty of finding out who you are so that you can come from a light place, a knowingness of who you are, and express that light and help others. Be a productive member of society rather than hating for the sake of hate. It doesn't really accomplish anything. When you hate someone else, that's coming right back around. And you will experience the consequence of that. You will experience more hate in your life. It's a cycle that perpetually repeats itself, and you're playing in denser, lower energies of expression when there's a better way to do it. So, racism is not okay. Know your power, know who you are, and really know what you want out of this life. And if you have a heart for helping others, help them realize their truth. We are all a human family, and we're here to help each other grow. And we're here to ascend higher. And like I mentioned, create heaven on earth and live from the heart. Thank you so much for listening. If you are not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe and leave a positive review. We will greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Until next time. Thank you for tuning in. We are so grateful you've taken this time to explore your own healing and transformation with us. We hope today's episode has sparked something within you. Keep listening to your soul's guidance. Transformation begins from within, and when you're ready, the universe rises to meet you. Until next time, stay tuned.